Hello everybody, my name's Matthew and I'm the author of the Undo Meditation app. Most of you would have been given the impression from the information in our society and apps and so forth today that meditation is about the so-called mind, about thinking and about altering or your states of mind, or maybe even achieving different states of mind. And this will bring about you will be able to alter your states of mind temporarily through meditation techniques, but it won't heal you in any way. And it won't heal you because it's not deep enough, it's too shallow. And the natural meditation, which is the natural meditation of the body, is a lot deeper. It's actually quite straightforward too, a lot less complex, but a lot more challenging in some ways, in that it takes you into the feeling level of yourself beneath the shallowness of thinking and meditation techniques, and enables you to access and heal distress or pain or illness from within your own body for yourself. And this is actually a completely natural form of meditation, in the sense of how I discovered it throughout my life was really my own organism, the body of me, taking over whenever I needed to heal from any sort of distress or illness. And then in having worked with tens of thousands of people, helping them heal themselves, and observing how all of those bodies, all those people also actually healed, not just on superficial levels, but right down to the very origin of the problem that was presenting itself as a physical or psychological symptom. And that physical origin is very rarely, if ever, dealt with from an outside-in, either meditation or healing approach. Because the outside-in approach is essentially from the perspective of ourselves. When we're using a meditation technique or thinking about ourselves, this is, from the perspective of ourselves, an external observation of ourselves, an outside-in approach. And this external observation of ourselves, or I should say this external observation, which we use our thinking in order to observe life and things around us, in order to understand these things more, works fine with everything other than ourselves. It works fine with everything other than ourselves because it's the only tool. Thinking is the only tool we have, in a sense, to examine things outside of ourselves. But within ourselves, what is absolutely unique to being ourselves is we're the only thing in existence that we can actually experience directly as a feeling from within ourselves. And so the natural meditation of the body is not to apply a thought idea about yourself, or a chant or a mantra or a technique or repetition about thinking about an aspect of yourself or a part of your body. This is all superficial and thinking. Whereas for understanding ourselves, we need to go deeper than this, and we have, fortunately, another way. And that's not a way that I've invented or anybody else has invented, like techniques to meditate. This is the body's natural way of knowing, feeling, understanding and healing itself. Or when I say the body, our natural way of knowing, feeling and directly healing everything that goes on in ourselves on an ongoing level throughout our life. And so this is the feeling of ourselves from the inside out. We are a live organism, and to feel our own existence from within our own existence, rather than thinking about it from the perspective of our ideas and our opinions, or perhaps trying to control it through the approach or the techniques of meditations in the world, we can actually understand ourselves in the way that only we can. I mean, only we can. And there's nothing else in existence that we can understand as intimately as ourselves. And the only way we can understand ourselves this intimately is because we feel that. We can actually feel ourselves from the inside of ourselves, which we cannot do for anything else. And so to think about ourselves as we do with, most of you would perhaps have heard and been told that this is what meditation is, that meditation is about altering your state of mind, that meditation is about thinking about yourself. And really, this is not meditation. This is trying to meditate. Meditation is a much deeper state. Meditation is the state of your own existence, not the thoughts that describe your existence or are trying to change your experience of yourself in any way at all. And in fact, with natural meditation or meditation for healing yourself, the approach can't be one of trying to get rid of the condition or overcome or resolve the condition you're in. Because ironically, this is a type of attack on the way you already are. So if you're suffering physically or psychologically and you start attacking that, you start trying to get rid of that, as with, most therapies are an outside-in approach and they're trying to suppress the condition you're in or alter the condition you're in from the outside in, or the traditional forms of meditation are trying to alter the condition you are from the outside in. And this is not the way we heal. If you observe the way we heal in nature, is when an animal or a creature or the body that you are it finds himself in pain or illness or distress, quite naturally, the first thing that's happening is I'm feeling that. I know I'm distressed only for one reason, it's because I can feel it. There's no other way I can really know that I'm distressed. I can think about being distressed, but only will I think of myself as being distressed once I already know I'm distressed. Otherwise, why would I think I'm distressed? The only reason I think I'm distressed is because I already know this as a feeling of distress in my body. And so what happens when any animal or any person is in need of recovery, of healing from any condition, is we tend to go very quietly within and into the depths of that condition and just be very still and very quiet and totally fully feel that condition as it is. And if we're able to do this really supports the healing process. And this is the real meditation of the body, that the meditation that kicks in naturally whenever we really need to recover from the effects of life. And recovering from the effects of life is really all we need meditation for. And meditation in that sense is feeling whatever those effects are, rather than avoiding them or trying to change them in any way. And therefore, we're not attacking those effects. We're not attacking the condition we're in. We're not judging the condition we're in. And essentially, also, is we're not trying to change it or improve on ourselves. And meditation has been sold as something to reach certain states, to improve yourself, to change yourself. But meditation is the only action in life, perhaps the only action in life, where you are not trying to achieve anything or change anything about yourself at all. It is just the action of feeling your own existence for the sake of experiencing yourself as you are, and in experiencing yourself as you are, come to understand yourself as you are. Whereas whilst you're trying to change yourself, or you change your state through a technique, and once you've altered yourself, you no longer have yourself as you are. So how are you supposed to understand yourself if you've already gone about changing yourself into some other state or some other condition? And therefore, in a sense, falsifying your experience of yourself. But naturally we want to do this because often we don't like the way we are, and this is why we want to change it. But why we don't like the way we are actually is because we haven't discovered the significance of the way we are. Therefore, we don't really understand the need to be in the condition we're in, whatever that condition happens to be. So how do we discover the condition we're in? There's only really one way. We have to feel it. And if we're disconnected and disassociated and numbed out like many people in the world are today, primarily because of a traumatic life, and if we are so disconnected from ourselves, then we have the struggle of, well, how do I feel? I can't feel. Many people that I talk to bring up this problem of not being able to feel. And this is actually because, yes, the disconnection is there, but you're not really understanding what feeling is. And feeling is not emotion. Feeling only becomes emotion when you mix it with what you think about how you're feeling, and you create an ongoing emotional reaction to your feeling. And this is turning feeling, through thinking about it, into a different sensation to its original condition before you reacted to it or thought about it, into what we call emotion. And once you turn feeling into emotion through mixing feeling and thought together, or your attitude about how you feel with the feeling itself, then you create this emotional state which is actually harmful to yourself and harmful to the body, and very difficult to bring to an end at times. And so you no longer have a healthy state once you're emotionalizing. To come back to the feeling itself is sometimes very difficult once you've started to react to how you feel and you don't like the way you feel. But I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this right now, and that is see these feelings, understand these feelings for what and where they really are. Feeling is not a mental state. And I've often said this to people in these talks, that feeling that you think about in the thoughts or the descriptions of a feeling, when you are thinking about it, the thoughts themselves are unfeeling. It's the feeling in your body that you are describing, the sensation that you experience in your body that you are describing through those words. And those words themselves can't even capture that feeling. The word sadness can't actually be sad, but in the body you can feel sadness. And that sadness is a physical sensation. So essentially, rather than considering getting so caught up in your emotions because of all the mentalization of your feelings, all the thinking about your feelings, or trying to change this through some superficial thought-based technique, just go deeper than all that thinking, not trying to get rid of it. Don't worry about the thinking. Just come back to the sensations of feelings in your body. The physical feelings and sensations in your body may be also quite difficult to feel at first because you're used to being disassociated. You're used to not feeling them. And often people say, but all I can feel is numbness. I feel like there's an emptiness there. If you feel numb, that too is a feeling. The point being is if you are alive, you are feeling. If you only when you are dead does the body stop feeling. Does the whole sensory system break down? If you are alive, you are feeling, even though those feelings may seem very minimal. And seeming very minimal, they may seem also numb. But how do you know you're numb? You feel it. So being numb is also another feeling. And if that's the best you can do, that's fine. Because essentially, the natural meditation of the body is to experience yourself, to feel your physical self, however you happen to be. Not to falsify that by trying to change it through drugs or through stimulations or psychedelics or techniques to change this. This does not help you understand yourself because you've already altered your chemistry and altered your experience of yourself artificially. Once you deliberately alter the way you are, you won't be able to understand yourself as you are and won't be able to feel the feeling and the experience of yourself exactly as it is. And that is essentially what natural meditation is. It's not contrived. It's going on all the time within your body. And it's actually caused by your life. It's the life experience, the external world triggering sensations in you and the things that are inside of you from your life, or feelings and sensations and experiences inside of you from your life that are always there.
I've got a question.
And we got a question, okay.
If I break my arm, does natural meditation help me heal it?
Yeah, it does. If you break your arm, breaking your arm is actually, and then the body healing that bone, is a perfect example of how only we can heal ourselves. No one can heal that broken bone. The doctor can set that bone, but doctors are not healers. Doctors just patch us up, and then the body does its own healing. Not only doctors, no other person is your healer, as I talked about in the last talk. You can be supported by another person, so your bone is broken and someone, sets that bone for you, but that's when the healing begins. Their job is to patch you up. The body's job is to heal the bone. So how does natural meditation help the body heal a broken bone? The body healing its broken bone is essentially what natural meditation is. What's going on there is the body is responding to itself in every way. The feelings are there, the sensations are there, the body's rebuilding bone, the chemistry is kicking in, the immune system's working, the pain thresholds are changing, so your endorphins are kicking in. All sorts of different things are going on in the body to cope with the condition you're in, whilst the healing continues all on its own or of its own volition, simply because you're a live organism and all you're designed to do is recover and to stay alive. So whatever breaks, you fix. Now, but there is a little bit more to this, because what happens when we get a broken bone or any sort of problem which interferes with the healing of that is we react to that. And when we react to that, we distress ourselves over that condition, and that distress only decreases the effectiveness of the healing process that's going on in the body, because that distress brings in other chemistry, brings in other problems, other ailments, and the psychological distress that we go into when we're reacting to our condition is not conducive to healing, although the body will still struggle along and heal anyway. But the other thing is, by where natural meditation makes the healing of a bone, a broken bone, or anything in your body easier and supportive of that, is that rather than the reaction to pain, which is to think about pain and to react and fight pain or the condition you're in, the unique thing about natural meditation as opposed to all other meditations is you learn to accept yourself in the condition you're in and actually feel that without reacting to it. It's our reaction to any condition that causes us to suffer that condition, actually. And when that reaction drops away and we're only feeling the sensation of that pain or the sensation of that distress in our body, we will actually find feeling that is a relief. Whereas when we're reacting to pain, it's not a relief. It causes suffering. And so this natural meditation of the body is incredibly applicable to day-to-day life, which is something that I found from the early years when, like all of you, when I was in my late teens, like many of you I should say, I was told that meditation was a mental technique, and it wasn't until a few years later that I discovered that that was just a waste of time. And that in fact, to go deeper than that into the feeling of myself is what made it practical to day-to-day life. And why is it so practical to day-to-day life? Is because we have to be able to live with the way we are in order to be okay with that. In order to be able to understand ourselves as we are, we have to feel us. And as I said earlier, we are the only creature on the planet that can really, the only thing on the planet, I should say, that we ourselves can absolutely know for certain. And the only way I can absolutely know myself right now and how I am for certain right now is because I can feel it. And in this sense, that is the essence of meditation, as the essence of meditation is to know yourself, to understand yourself as you are.
Okay.
Another question.
Yeah, Sarah Kay asked.
Sarah.
Sarah,
Okay.
yeah, asked, what do we do with our mind when we get a negative thought?
If you do anything with your what you're calling your mind, I'll change that a little bit, Sarah, to the mind is just another word for saying the thought process. I don't agree that the mind exists. So I'm saying that we have a thought process that we're aware of. So if we try and do something with this so-called mind or with the thought process, when we have a negative thought, then we are in reaction to that negative thought. And that reaction to that negative thought is to try and make it positive. So really, positive thinking is just a sneaking negative, because it's a reaction and a condemnation of the negative thought in the first place. So really, we're just going around in circles. You can't resolve negative thinking or any thinking through more thinking about it. You'll only increase it. When you have a negative thought, you need to understand where that negative thinking is coming from. And that negative thinking, if you think about it, if say you're having a negative thought about an interaction with a friend, why will you be having a negative thinking or negative thoughts about a friend that you've had an interaction with? It's because you've been disturbed in that interaction. They've upset you in some way and you are still feeling upset. And as long as you still feel upset, and right up until you resolve that conflict or that upset, you will find it difficult not to think negatively about an interaction or that person. So consequently, the very direct and only way really to bring so-called negative thinking or any thinking to an end is to go deeper than to thinking, back into the feelings that are driving and fueling that thinking. As I said before, you won't have negative thinking unless you feel negative. You won't be thinking angrily without feeling anger. So bring your attention back to the feelings that are negative or angry, that you're seeing as negative or angry. In other words, bring yourself back to, or pay attention to, the sense of how you feel behind that negative thinking. Stop trying to work out whether you should be negative or positive, and just come back to the feelings that are distressing you and feel those feelings. Immediately, once you're feeling the feeling, understand that this is where you're going to resolve your negative thinking, not by thinking about it. Any sort of psychological condition, is fueled by a deeper feeling in the body. And when those feelings are disturbing you, then your thoughts become disturbing. The only way to really bring those thoughts to an end is to starve them of energy. Not think about them more and feed them more, but starve them of that energy by coming back to the feelings that are behind those thoughts and driving those thoughts. So really, really try this. Don't bother trying to solve your thinking. It's not necessary and it won't work. Come back to the deeper feelings, the sensations in your body of upset or distress that you'll find is there if you're thinking negatively. Or you might be frightened, you might be distressed, you don't want to feel those feelings, but you need to feel those feelings. In feeling those feelings, they will dissipate. The energy and the force of those feelings will dissipate and eventually come to a complete end. And when they come to an end, you won't have any more negative thinking as a result of that feeling.
Okay, so Melanie Anderson has a question.
Okay.
My boyfriend has been in pain for almost a year. Doctors have no clue what is happening to him. How do you heal it if you don't know where it's coming from?
It would be helpful to know what part of his body is in pain, to be very specific, but as I don't, I'm still going to give you a specific response and guide you to the Undo Meditation app so that you can actually look up the part on the mind-body connection, which is going to help you identify what's behind this pain that he's suffering. Don't worry about the doctors not being able to identify what's wrong with him. It doesn't mean he's imagining it. It just means that the doctors don't understand anything more about the human being other than the most superficial part of us. And that's not a criticism of them. It's not their job. They're just mechanics. We're talking about pain. Doctors don't understand pain either. Very few people do. Pain is not his enemy. But he's reacting to that pain. He's wanting to get rid of that pain. By going to doctors, he's going to make it worse because they too, healers and therapists and doctors also are in reaction to pain. Their whole sole role in life is to get people out of the pain they're in. Mine is to help people change their relationship with pain and encourage them to feel that pain, but feel that pain as a sensation wherever he actually feels that in his body. In other words, come back to the physical sensation of pain in his body and don't immediately assume that that pain is a harmful pain. This pain is not harmful pain. There is nothing that's happened that you know of that's happening to him right now that's causing that pain. So that means that pain was caused a long time ago, even longer ago than when it started a year ago. It may be something that was suppressed throughout his life and completely suppressed and unfelt, disconnected from, and something in his life a year ago has triggered the stimulation of pain that's held and suppressed in the body from life experiences that we've ignored, overridden or avoided. Now, that means this is not harmful pain. Harmful pain is when you get hurt, something hurts you. Healing pain is when the pain's coming out of you, when you're recovering from whatever has happened to you in life. And that may be something that happened to you a year ago, it might be something that happened to you 10 years ago, it might be something that happened to you when you were 3 years old. If you were hurt, the distress of that hurt is contained in your body, and at some point your body will go through a healing process, a natural healing process. And that type of pain, although that it's painful, it's not connected to any injury or harm that's being done to you now. It's clearly, therefore, healing pain. Your body is trying to process a pain, and the more you feel that pain, in fact, when he meditates, get him to meditate if you can, and just a simple thing, don't even have to use the word meditation, just to sit down quietly or to lay down quietly and feel that physical pain when it's there, just feel it, it will start to heal. It will start to resolve from within your body. But don't put a time frame on this, because if there's a lot in that pain, for example, if it's repetitive experiences of being abused, then there may be years and years and years of pain accumulated there, which means it'll take a while for it to fully heal. So the main thing is not trying to get rid of the pain, but changing your relationship with that pain. Stop seeing doctors and therapists. They don't help people with pain. They drug pain out or they cut out the reason for it. This is not understanding the true significance of pain. It's there to heal this person of something a lot deeper than just a physical, a little bit of a physical hurt. We're talking about something that he'll also feel quite upset about. So when he's feeling the physical pain, to include how it makes him feel or think about it, and how it makes him feel and think about it is going to be something unique to him. He'll be distressed over it, he'll be angry about it or whatever. And just to notice that feeling as well, and include that feeling of mental distress in the physical pain, and just feel all of that there together. This is very difficult to do at first, because your relationship with pain, like everybody else in this world, has been completely destroyed and completely ruined by our fear of pain through not really understanding what pain's about. You can look at my old talk, my last talk on You Are the Only One That Can Heal Your Pain, and then use the meditation app, Undo Meditation app, if you would like to, and look at the parts that I have there and helping him understand that pain. And this will give him a lot more support and guidance than just you repeating to him what I've said. And this will give him a lot more support and guidance in dealing with and healing his own pain for and from himself through this natural meditation. Okay, we have more questions.
Okay, so somebody responded to our event post, and the question was, how to heal with natural meditation was the actual post, and they asked is there any synthetic meditation?
Yeah, very good question. Very funny question. Is there any? He might have been being clever, but at the same time, I'm going to take it as a serious question. It's more serious than you may realise. So someone's asked the question: isn't all meditation natural? By saying, is there really synthetic meditation? Now, the main difference between ourselves and the rest of the creatures on the planet, in fact, the main difference between the human species and all species other than us, is that we have disconnected ourselves from the natural world primarily through our ever-increasing complexity of thinking, of being able to think in such complex ways in which we can then use that thinking to disconnect ourselves from the natural world and build houses and use drugs and do all sorts of things to decrease what we feel and experience in life. And various religions and belief systems have also done this with meditation, where they've used meditation and invented techniques to alter our experience from the natural experience, that means the experience that we are already having quite naturally, and imposing these artificial techniques. I call them artificial because they aren't aligned with the way you already are, and therefore they're imposing an artificial state, a state that isn't true or real to you. So in this sense, there is artificial, or what was the word he used? Is there any... Synthetic meditation. Synthetic meditation, I suppose you could talk about people using psychedelics and so forth to alter their chemistry. This is not meditation, because meditation is about the experience of you as you actually are, so that you can understand yourself and heal yourself. You can't heal yourself. You're not even in touch with the condition you're in, because the activation of the healing process in the living organism, for any living organism, is actually firstly being able to feel the distress or feel the pain. The feeling of that distress or pain activates all the other systems in the body to begin recovering, dealing with the pain level, the pain threshold, but then also recovering from the distress. So it's a very good question, because it brings the attention to the fact that people think meditation, as we've seen it in traditional forms, is somehow natural, that all meditation is natural. No, it's not really. It's not natural to change and alter yourself from your natural, untainted, unmanipulated state. As soon as you start manipulating your chemistry or manipulating a state of mind, you are changing yourself from just the way you are. And this is not something that is inherently natural to do, nor is it actually necessary to do it, although you want to do it because you're suffering, or you want to do it because you want another experience. But mostly you'll find you're doing it because you are resisting and in reaction to the way that you already are. And it's this resistance and reaction to the pain or how you feel and don't like the way you're feeling, it's this resistance that is your biased reaction to your own condition that actually changes that experience, changes your experience of that condition, just because you're complaining about it, just because you're in reaction to it. And that is what thinking does. And that is what drives us to then be happy to use other forms of artificial ways to change the way we are and call it meditation. But this is completely overlooking what meditation is really about. It's not about changing the way you are. It's actually about eliminating all the learned bias that you have developed about yourself, which therefore changes and, denaturalizes and changes how you feel what you feel. And therefore causes you to suffer yourself, suffer being yourself. It's not because of the way you are, even the person before talking about the boyfriend in pain, it's not actually the pain that is causing you suffering, it's your bias, your fear of pain, your reaction to pain. And it's not actually the feeling of how it feels to be you inside of you in any situation in your life that is hurting you or that you are suffering from. It's your mental reaction to that, and the association that you have with that feeling because of some trauma or event you've been through in the past, which actually touched on that feeling and has caused you to have a biased reaction or association with that feeling. Getting back in touch with this feeling and really going into the depth of the feeling in yourself, over time, you start to discover that this feeling is actually not bad, that the feeling is not harmful to you, and that in fact you don't mind the way you feel at all. And this starts to change the bias that you have about the way you are, about pain, about illness. And this is the ultimate reality of what meditation is for, is to enable you to live in the world with yourself, however this happens to be, and not suffer from it, not because you're detached or disconnected, but because you are able to embrace any feeling and any sensation that is going on within you, and rather than suffer that, actually be guided by that in your life and healed by that in your meditation. Okay.
Okay, next question. I have social anxiety. Sometimes I can't even leave my house. How can I use natural meditation to help me heal it?
Yeah, this is such a common problem. You can call it social anxiety, and you may or may not know why you have this. I would expect you don't really know why you feel this way, but you will find it comes back to trauma. And I say this quite boldly because I've helped literally thousands of people resolve anxiety and suffering from anxiety, social anxiety and other forms of anxiety. Anxiety, what is anxiety? You need to understand what anxiety is in order to be able to deal with it and not be overcome by it, so it prevents you from being able to live your life. Anxiety is a sensation in your body. Anxiety is a cry for help from deeper within you. Anxiety is a feeling in you that's really demanding your attention, that really wants your attention. It's a feeling in you of a part of you that's hurt or traumatised or in pain, but which you don't remember or don't really understand what it's about. You don't need to understand what it's about to heal it. You only need to feel it to heal it. So feeling anxiety is very, very different to trying to get rid of it. Once you're trying to get rid of anxiety, you are now anxious about the anxiety and you're actually increasing your anxiety. So any psychological or professional approach to trying to stop the anxiety or change the anxiety is actually making it worse, because it is an additional reaction to the anxiety, which is essentially is anxiety about anxiety, and it just builds on itself, and you'll get stuck there. So rather than you now get anxious about the fact that you're not able to, socialise. This is more thought processing. Oh, I can't do this and I can't do this. Increases your anxiety, doesn't it? Every time you think about the things that you can't do because of your anxiety, this thinking increases the levels of your anxiety, and it makes the problem appear bigger. Simply because you're upset about what you can't do because you're anxious. Now, that's fair enough that you're upset about it, but it's the wrong approach to your pain. The right approach to your anxiety is to accept this is coming up in you for very good reasons. It's a cry for help from deep within yourself. You won't like the feeling of it, but you need the feeling of it. It wouldn't be there if you didn't need it. This is your body's way of recovering. By getting you to feel that anxiety, you will find that in feeling it as a sensation in your body, which is not thinking about it or analysing it or trying to work it out or work out why it's there, but feeling it as an anxiety in your body, you will find it generally sits in your throat or your chest somewhere. And it's a very, very high level of fear. It's, it can even turn into a very high level of terror. But whatever it turns into whilst you're feeling it is part of what is processing. Right now you have one understanding or one feeling of your anxiety. As you feel it more and more as a meditation, this is really your most important meditation for you, because this is the part of you that is dominating your life and needs your attention more than anything else in your life. You might want to do these other things. They're the things you want to do, which is socialise, but it isn't what you need right now. What you need right now is to heal the anxiety. So going out into society and feeling that anxiety, you'll be able to cope with that. But first, you have to know how to feel that anxiety. I mean, truly feel it. And that means don't think about it, but feel it wherever you feel the sensation of it, in which part of your body you feel it. And you'll mostly feel it in your chest and your throat. And that's where you have to stay. Stay with the feeling of that physical sensation which you're calling anxiety. And that may pass very rapidly, or if there's not a lot to it. But if there's a lot of trauma buried in there, then you're going to begin a long healing process. You're going to, by feeling that anxiety, you're going to start unraveling, or how should I say, triggering and releasing deeper feelings and hurts and memories that are held in your body. But this is essential. And if you're not in reaction to that feeling of anxiety, understanding it's okay to feel this, you're not wrong for being this way. You are this way for reasons that you may not remember, but you are this way for reasons of what has caused you to feel this way. You're not this way for no reasons whatsoever. Therefore, you are not wrong or flawed or somehow defective because you have anxiety. Whatever the reason is for you having anxiety would have caused anxiety in any one of us. We are all hurt and disturbed by things in life, and we're supposed to be. But what we do wrong is we ignore that disturbance, we override that disturbance rather than resolve it, because we don't know how. So I'm telling you right now how to. Rather than overriding that disturbance or ignoring that disturbance, you have to do what the body wants to do naturally, which is the natural meditation of the body. What happens when we're hurt? We feel the hurt. What happens when we're frightened? We feel frightened. This is how we know we're frightened. We're supposed to feel frightened and know we're frightened in order to then know what to do to protect ourselves. And if we can't protect ourselves and we keep getting hurt, then that fear may turn into terror, and then we may suppress and switch off and disconnect and disassociate from these experiences and not want to think about them. But these are now past experiences, so this anxiety is not about current times necessarily. It's now a healing pain. It's the healing of anxiety that's happening now if you can just let it happen. Something's caused you to be anxious. Now you need to recover from the effects of whatever caused you to be anxious, and you are anxious for good reason, so don't criticise it, don't judge it, and it's going to be hard for you to see it as okay, but it really is okay. There's a lot of anxiety in the world, and the sooner you get in touch with that anxiety from the way I've been telling you to, or suggesting to you, feel it in your body and just let it be there. And then if you want to go out, the main thing is get in touch with this feeling of anxiety before you walk out your door, and just feel that until you can be containing that inside of you, and then staying with the feeling of that. Just go out into life day by day, maybe do it a little bit more, but eventually you'll find, and it shouldn't take too long, I don't think, with you, is that the anxiety will dissipate. Now you can look up I've got a blog written on my website, I think, on the Undo website. So if you look up the Undo website, there is an article there purely dedicated to anxiety, and it goes into it in great detail, so you can really understand, not great intellectual detail, very practical detail that you'll find yourself relating to. Because you won't remember everything I've said, you don't have to. Go back to that article in Undo, in the Undo blog, no, Undo website, undoapp.com, is it? Undoapp.com, and have a look at that one on anxiety. It's actually it's a very good one. Okay, so good luck with that.
What happens when I start to feel pain when I'm meditating?
This is very important. When you're meditating, if you really are meditating, which means you're not trying to manipulate your state with some technique, but you're just sitting physically still and allowing whatever needs to occur within you to start happening. This really is allowing a natural meditation, the healing process of the body to kick in naturally. So if you really are meditating in this way, you will find pain will come during a meditation. Even if you are using techniques, you will find pain will come during meditation if you sit there long enough. The reason pain arises in meditation is not because sitting cross-legged or sitting still is hurting you. It's because as you sit quietly, just being physically still and reducing your external activity, reducing the things you have to think about, just being physically still gives you a chance to start feeling more of what's inside of you than you normally feel. And so it's not that sitting there is causing the pain, it's actually helping you resensitize to pain that's inside of different parts of your body that you've disassociated from throughout your life. And by sitting still, simply sitting still, which is the absolute basic and the most effective meditation, just be physically still. Don't worry about your thinking at all. Just be physically still and notice what you can't not notice, which is the sensations that start to occur in your body as you sit there for longer. And one of those sensations will be different types of pain. Just feeling that pain is how you go deeper in your body and deeper into meditation. By avoiding that pain or trying to change it with a technique is how you stay shallow in meditation. Whereas if you just feel that pain or feel that disturbance in you, that pain or disturbance in you, by feeling your resistance to that pain, actually, not just the pain but your resistance to that pain, feeling any resistance to the pain also will help break through that resistance and take you deeper, and feeling the pain itself will continue to take you deeper into your meditation. Deeper meaning you'll find that you're really getting into the deeper aspects of yourself that have been hidden from you or hidden to yourself deeper within yourself that are now reactivating through healing, and healing meaning through this healing approach to meditation, which is coming back to meditation being all about the body, nothing to do with this mythical mind, just the body. So just to make it a little bit perhaps a good example for you, is most of us have had massage, particularly with deep tissue healing massage. The masseur will press quite deeply into the body and you'll find out you've got pain in areas of your body that you didn't even know you had. Because until this person went deep enough into the flesh of your body, you didn't actually feel it was there. You were numb to it, completely disconnected from it. And his massage is putting you in touch with it and helping you heal that build-up of stress and pain from within your body, simply because you're feeling it whilst he's massaging you. Now, meditation is a way of massaging yourself, but not externally, but by just staying physically still until you start to feel, and you'll begin to feel more and more and more, even if you start out by feeling completely numb. Just feeling that numb state, that numb sensation in your body. Just being with that, not worrying about your thinking at all, but just being with that numb sensation in your body, it will gradually come back to life again as you go a little bit deeper into that sensation, simply because you're not doing anything else. Simple as that. Because you're not doing anything else, you're just being with this feeling of sensation in your body. You will find you access more and more of it the longer you stay there. And as you do, you start to experience pain that was there before you meditated. It's just that now you can feel it. So don't think your meditation is causing the pain. It's not. What's causing the pain is your past. Your life has caused the pain. It's already been there. So by feeling it when you're meditating, this is how you'll go deep in your meditation. Then when you feel resistance to it, feel that resistance. And then when you're really reacting to it, just have a little break and come back to it until you find that you can stay with that pain longer and longer and longer. And this is not a goal, it's just that you're learning that you can be with discomfort and with pain. And when you can be with your own pain, you are free of suffering. You can cope with anything coming at you in life then. Okay, next question.
Yeah, I've tried everything, but I can't quit smoking. Will meditating help?
Yeah, meditation will help you quit smoke very quickly. My marketing manager's got a great story because he started working for me, 12 months ago. And he's a guy in his 40s. And this is just one example, but I've got thousands of examples like this. But he was a pretty heavy smoker. He'd been smoking for 20 years or something. And he got a job with, he came from a very strong a very, it's like less than aggressive type of environment, which was a gaming industry, and he came into the meditation market. The meditation market is, of course, sort of about, not so much about getting what you can out of people and even maybe tricking people into stuff, although, or maybe I shouldn't say that because there's a lot of trickery in the meditation market right now too. But really meditation is about helping people help themselves and heal themselves. And so when this man came along, he said, I want to give up smoking. And I said, okay, we'll do it. So every couple of hours he'd go outside for his cigarette, and even though it was snowing and really, really cold, he'd put up with this snow and just have the cigarette. So I told him, think of this for yourself. This is how you're going to give up smoking. Every time you want a cigarette, there is a feeling inside of you that you don't realise, and you may not realise, an urge to have that cigarette. The urge that you feel to have that cigarette is your addiction to the cigarette, and that urge is your pain that you suppress through that smoking. Now, this story with my friend now, who started working for me, is I asked him, every time you go to have a cigarette, just stop for 2 minutes. Go outside, take your cigarette out of the packet, and just stop for 2 minutes, and without lighting up that cigarette, just feel the urge to have that cigarette. Just feel that urge, but don't act on it for 2 minutes. Or as long as you can, don't act on that urge. 2 weeks later, he stopped smoking. He's never had a cigarette since. It's just finished straight away. What he got in touch with was a distress inside of himself that was actually responsible for driving him into this destructive behaviour of poisoning himself with a cigarette and the drugs and the damage that it does to him or does to a person. So you don't want to poison yourself, you don't want to harm yourself, but you don't necessarily want to feel the pain that's inside of you either, because you haven't understood how to and what you can do with this. And you might not even realise that smoking or any destructive behaviour, any habitual behaviour, comes out of some hurt or harm behind that behaviour that's inside of you and driving you to do that behaviour whenever you do it. So how do you end these behaviours? Smoking is just one of them. But all of these destructive behaviours is when you go to do that, when you go to perform that action, just stop and feel how you feel inside in the urge to do that action. And if you can't get in touch with the urge to do the action, don't do the action. And that'll eventually bring up the urge. It'll be screaming after a while, do this, have this cigarette, whatever. Feel that sensation and urge to do the action, but feel it as a sensation in your body and put off doing the act. And you may still perform the action a few minutes later, but at least start getting in touch with this urge to do it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Don't try and not smoke. Don't suppress smoking. That isn't irrelevant. Don't suppress drugs. Don't suppress alcohol. Don't suppress using psychedelics. Don't suppress any of this garbage that you're doing. Don't suppress being a nasty person. Don't suppress having an anger problem. Just come back in touch. Just get back in touch with the feeling inside of you that drives any of these habitual behaviours, and feel that urge to do that action. In there, you're feeling the pain that's driving the action. As you feel that pain, you'll start to dissipate that pain. And as that dissipates, you will no longer need to do that action or feel the urge to do that action. Okay, next question.
That's it?
Oh, that's it. We're wrapping it up, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Well, I'm sure it would have been actually, because you won't be hearing this type of thing from anybody else at this point. So I really encourage you guys who are listening, you're obviously interested in meditation because you've responded to the topic. Essentially, meditation needs to come back to the body. It's all about you as a living, breathing, feeling and thinking body. The fact that we're out of touch with where our thinking comes from, and I'm suggesting here it comes from our feelings and our sensations that ultimately become our thoughts and our actions. Because there's a disconnect between our thoughts and the feelings or the urges that drives them, we've assumed there's such a thing as a mind that's doing the thinking for us. But the body doesn't need a mind, a separate mind to do the thinking for it. And we only think this because we're disconnected from the body and don't understand how the body thinks. We don't understand how, as a body, we have physical feelings and sensations and information inside of us that eventually become the expressions of those in thoughts and words and actions. So let that thinking go on in the background. It's a superficial and final expression of deeper feelings and sensations that are in your body. And this becomes your meditation, just to come back to the feelings of sensations and so forth, and feelings in your body. But this is not always easy to do, even though it's very simple and very effective. And if you try it, you'll find you'll get it straight away, because there's no need to concern yourself about your thinking. Don't worry about your thinking. There's a lot more I'm going to help you understand about that later on, to the point that thinking is just created. It's not actually there of its own volition. It's not something that exists in its own right. It's something that we temporarily bring into existence, like it's our imagination. We imagine thought into existence, and then it disappears as soon as we stop imagining it. So why do you need to worry about it? You don't. You really don't. It's happening for reasons, and you shouldn't suppress it and be concerned about it. And we'll go into that in another talk, or later on if you work continually with me. What's important is what's driving that thinking. What's driving that thinking is deeper feelings in the body. Come back to those feelings in the body, and you'll dissipate the excess of those anxieties or feelings and or that memory, and you'll find that thinking will come to an end naturally in meditation, or you simply won't bother with it and just stay with the sensations in your body. Now, this sounds really easy, and it is really easy, but what's going to happen then is you're going to find that you're going to get confused, you're going to react to sensations, you're not going to understand what's going on inside of your body, because you haven't found out yet, you haven't had this education yet. And this is why I encourage you to have a look at the Undo Meditation app. I'm not trying to sell the app, I'm trying to help you. And that is that this is made up of 14 foundations of absolutely crucial information that we need to be able to navigate ourselves internally and our life externally on a day-by-day basis successfully. And you need that understanding in order to go deeper and further with your meditation, because if you start meditating by coming back to the feelings and sensations in your body rather than using a technique, your meditation will rapidly deepen, and you'll start to experience things inside yourself that you didn't know were distressing you, and you'll start processing these things, but you need to understand a bit more to be able to cope with this well. So good luck with that, and thanks for listening in. I had a nice time. I hope you did too, and I'll hopefully see a lot of you next time. Okay, bye.